Hi. I wrote Cauliflora because I wanted to create a story about a girl similar to the girl I was. Independent, creative, and also stubborn like hell. And I also wanted it to be about money. A subject that, although occupies the thoughts of grown-ups and children alike, is somewhat absent from preschool literature. Cauliflora is intrigued by the concept of trading and getting rich, but her heart and duck reminds her that she's also still longing for things that money cannot buy. One by one, Cauliflora moved what she had chosen to a new pile on her right. But what can I sell? She thought worriedly. All of my things are special and important. Wait, what's that on the edge of the carpet? Hooray! Shouted Cauliflora and lifted up a tarted old toy duck. You! I can sell you, she said to the duck. Finally, something that isn't good for anything. She immediately grabbed a piece of paper and a pen and wrote, "Duck for sale, special, today only." "I'm going out to make money," Cauliflora yelled toward the kitchen on her way out and slammed the front door behind her. "At last, I'll have my own trampoline and I'll buy candy and ice cream and whatever I feel like."
Well, this book actually started in a real-life situation. We were hiking together, a group of families, mothers, fathers, children, and I was talking with one of the mothers, and suddenly her son came over, and he wanted to tell her something, but she was busy, so she told him, "Honey, hold that thought." And the look on his face, he was actually trying to understand how to hold a thought. And I thought it was fascinating, and then I started writing this book, which is called Hold That Thought. Ethan had something really important to tell his mom. But when he went into her study, she was on the phone. So he waited. And then he waited some more. Then he cleared his throat, which is what grown-ups do when they have something to say. But Ethan's mom didn't even turn around. And that's something he wanted to tell her was really important for him. So he moved closer to his mom and tapped her gently on the shoulder. "What is it?" She turned to him, and her voice did not sound very nice at all. "I have to tell you something," he said. "Can't you see that I'm on the phone?" She said. "I know, but I'll be done soon," she said, her voice softer. "Hold that thought. Okay, honey? Hold on to it for just a few more minutes." "All right, Mom," he said, though it was not all right at all. Ethan did not know how to hold a thought, and it was a very important thought. He took the thought to his room and put it on his desk because it was starting to feel a little heavy. But suddenly that didn't seem safe enough. So he put it on his bed, but that still wasn't safe enough because sometimes his little brother Eli climbed onto his bed at night and he might accidentally crush the thought. Ethan looked for a box where he could put his thought.
Grandma in this novel came from another planet, and people say it's fantasy, but everything here is true. The menu. Grandma cooked some porridge. She was very short, a really diminutive figure, so she stood on a little stool to reach the countertop. She stirred in a not-so-big pot and grumbled to herself and swore profusely, just as she did every time she cooked. "May I fall into the pot and the chef kill me," she groaned. "May they chop me up into meatballs. May they stone me with dumplings. May they smear me with broth." From the stool, she had an excellent view of the kitchen and the tiny living room And because she was standing right in front of the half-broken kitchen window, which had never been repaired, she could also look out over the small backyard and what was behind it. A large, empty field, at the end of which stood a row of conifers. Behind the trees, the desert sprawled, huge and gloomy. Every so often, swirls of dust stormed up out of it and covered the backyard and the house. At night, the sky glowed with a mysterious orange glow, and Grandma would look up and ceremoniously declare, "Gone are the stars. It's the end of the world. That's it."
Hi, I wrote Francesca Torellis' Ice Cream Shop, and I wrote this book in order to tell the amazing story that my children grew up with. This is the story of their grandfather, who was hiding in an ice cream shop by Francesca Torelli in Budapest during World War II. This is how his life was saved, and I wanted to tell this story to children all over the world.
Francesca Torelli was also thinking, I'm Italian, I don't need to be afraid. The Hungarians like me. But what will happen to my neighbors? What will happen to Peter's family? What will happen to other children's families? Someone has to offer them shelter to help them hide. Someone. I've got it, my ice cream shop. I will help them. I am that someone. It's winter. Winter is cold. In the winter, I don't sell ice cream. Tamar, did your father-in-law like the book you wrote about him?
Well, actually he did. He loved it very much. He felt a huge gratitude towards Francesco, and he wanted children to know what he did, to know that there was such a person that was so brave and was willing to help other people, not from his nation and not from his country, but just people who needed help, who needed shelter. He saved their lives. And during the darkest time in human history, there were also good people who wanted to help, and that story is inspiring for children, I think, and for their parents as well. So my father-in-law was very happy that Francesco's story is being told to children all over the world.
Wow.
Gaia is a 13 years old who's in love with Shachar, another 7th grader from her school. But she doesn't really believe there is any chance with him. After all, everybody knows she has cancer, and she wears this ugly wig on her head. The story follows Gaia for 1 year. These are the most difficult, but also the most exciting days of her life.
Mom was already at work by the time I woke up that morning, and Dad was making sandwiches for me in the kitchen. I brushed my teeth like it was any other day and went to the bathroom to pee. Normally, I pee first and brush my teeth later, which means that I might have gotten mixed up, being so nervous and everything. I started imagining all sorts of things that might happen at school that day. I pictured the bullies from my class standing around me in a circle, laughing like crazy, and I had nowhere to run. I imagined Shachar leaning against the gym wall, just looking around. Then his eyes settled on me, his eyebrows scrunched up, like he wasn't sure it was really me. When he finally realized that it was me, but that I looked different, very different, he turned around and left. For a split second, I thought about locking myself in the bathroom and saying that the lock had jammed. By the time they'd rescued me, it would have been too late to go to school. But that didn't make any sense. Mostly because we didn't have a lock on our bathroom door. Hi God, it's me, Gaia, from Ramat Gan. Sorry to bother you so early in the morning, and while I'm in the bathroom, no less, which is something I'm really, really sorry about. I know it's pretty rude and all, but on a day like this, I was hoping you wouldn't mind. There's something I want to ask of you, if it isn't too much. Please watch over me today. Make it all go well, and please don't let anyone laugh at me. And make Shachar finally talk to me. Oh, and please have no one pay attention to my wig. Let them think I had a haircut. Yours truly, Gaia. I first read the book Gaias Dawn when I was in 7th grade. I remember it being a tough period of time for me and being inspired by Gaia's strength and optimism. I'm curious, why did you write a story about a girl with cancer?
Gaia is based on me. I was a very sociable, yet a real bookworm. I was very active and in love. And suddenly, at the age of 13, I was told I had cancer, which obviously turned my life around. I had to tell this story. I had to write it, but I wanted to write the truth without sentimentality or pathos. Gaia talks at an eye level with honesty and humor, and I think she doesn't want to be treated like a saint or a hero, and I think because of that, it is so easy to identify with her, like you just said. That's it.
Hi, I'll speak about my book Bear and Fred. This book is based on a true story, on the story of Fred Lessing, who is a survivor from Holocaust from Holland. Fred Lessing is still living in the USA in Michigan. Then I heard a lot of noise, furniture moving, drawing opening, heels tapping, and voices talking. Mama said, "Children, we are leaving home, and I don't know when we will return. Put on your coats. We'll pretend that we are going out for a walk." I was scared that Fred would leave me in the house. I wasn't used to being alone. Fred always kept me close by. The door opened and then slammed shut. Silence. Fred had forgotten me. Then I heard the door open again. I felt Fred's small hand grab me. He patted me and whispered, "Bear, I won't leave you here all by yourself. You are my best friend." He put me into his knapsack, and I let out a sigh of relief. Fred did not forget me.
This book actually started from a bedtime story I told my own daughter. I was just about to go for my first ever book tour, and it was to Australia. She was 3 years old, and I wanted to prepare her and maybe myself to this trip. So I invented a story about a father who is going away, and while he's away, all sorts of visitors, fun visitors, come and entertain the daughter. I told my daughter this story. She wanted to hear it again and again. When I was away and when I was already back, she wanted to hear the story about the father who went to Australia. And then I realized maybe that it's relevant to other children and maybe other parents. So here's how it begins. Amalia's dad was going to Australia. Before he left, he came into her room and told her that he wouldn't be coming home for an entire week, and that he'd miss her a lot and think about her all the time. "Where's Australia?" asked Amalia. And Dad showed her on the globe how far Australia was from Haifa, on the other side of the world. Later on, he showed her pictures of a kangaroo, a very rare animal that lives only in Australia. "What will you bring me from Australia?" Amalia wanted to know. "Whatever you want," Dad said with a smile. "Dad will be back in a week, sweetie." Amalia's mom tried to calm her down on the way home, but Amalia didn't know exactly how long a week was, and she didn't feel like calming down. She didn't feel like playing with her Lego blocks, and she didn't feel like going to the playground, and she didn't even feel like inviting Yaeli over. She sat down on the blue sofa quietly and was very sad, when suddenly she heard a knock on the door.